Top 10 European Cup/Champions League finals of all time. Part 2. 5. Barcelona 3-1 Manchester United 2011. Speaking of dream teams, Guardiola's Barcelona are widely regarded as one of the greatest club sides of all time, and the 2011 Champions League final showcased them at the very peak of their powers. It was the second time in 3 years that these two sides had faced off in the Champions League final, with Barcelona winning the 2009 edition 2-0. Both clubs were three-time winners of the competition and had plenty of recent experience in the showpiece event too, with United appearing in the final for a third time in 4 years and Barca for a third time in 6 years. Ferguson quickly acknowledged after the game that his side did not have much experience playing against a team as good as that Barcelona, though declaring Guardiola's men as the best he had ever faced in his long career and admitting that they had given United a hiding. Predictably, Lionel Messi was the main tormentor, and his stunning strike 9 minutes into the second half capped off a majestic individual performance, while also giving Barcelona the lead back after Wayne Rooney had cancelled out Pedro's opener. David Villa secured the win with a fine curling effort with 21 minutes to go, and in the end United were grateful that the scoreline did not get any worse, with Barca ending the game with 12 shots on target to United's 1. 4. Real Madrid 4-3 Stade de Reims 1956. The first ever European Cup final set the bar high for subsequent editions as Real Madrid began their still unparalleled run of 5 successive titles in the competition. The entire landscape of European football may well be different today had Reims won the 1956 final, though, and they were not too far away from doing so, particularly after taking a 2-0 lead within 10 minutes at the Parc des Princes in Paris. Madrid icon Alfredo Di Stefano have that deficit in the 14th minute, though, and by the half-hour mark the Spanish outfit were all square again courtesy of Hector Real's strike. Michel Hidalgo restored Reims' advantage shortly after the hour mark to again put them on course to become the inaugural champions, but this time their lead lasted just 5 minutes before Marquinhos restored parity. Real then doubled his personal tally with 11 minutes remaining to wrap up a 7-goal thriller and seal the trophy for Madrid, who then went and bought Reims forward Raymond Kopa later that year in a transfer which helped to strengthen a grip on the trophy which would not be released until 1961. 3. Benfica 5-3 Real Madrid 1962. Having won each of the first 5 editions of the trophy, Real Madrid were dethroned by Benfica in 1961 before returning to the showpiece event the following year for a contest which needed no extra hype, the only 2 previous champions of Europe going head-to-head. If the torch had not already been passed in 1961, Benfica's topsy-turvy 5-3 triumph 12 months later was symbolic, not only for Real Madrid being usurped as European kings, but also for Benfica talisman Eusebio succeeding Di Stefano as European football's top man. Other legendary figures also littered the field, not least Real Madrid duo Francisco Gento and Ferenc Puskás, the latter of whom netted a second European Cup final hat-trick in the space of 3 years. The Hungarians' heroics were not enough, though, despite initially giving Madrid a 2-goal lead inside 23 minutes. Benfica skipper José Aguas quickly halved the deficit before Domiciano Cavum leveled things up shortly after the half-hour mark. But Puskás completed his hat-trick to send Madrid into half-time with a 3-2 lead following a frenetic opening 45 minutes. The second half belonged to Benfica, though. Mario Coluna made it 3-3 5 minutes after the interval, and then Eusebio took center stage with a penalty and free kick within 5 minutes of each other to seal back-to-back European Cup titles for the Portuguese outfit. The match proved to be the zenith of Benfica's achievements. Manager Bela Gutmann reportedly asked the board for a pay rise in the wake of the triumph and, when turned down, left the club with the foreboding and cursed words, "Not in 100 years from now will Benfica ever be European champions." Benfica have reached 8 European finals since then, but lost every single one. 2. Real Madrid 7-3 Eintracht Frankfurt 1960. The greatest teams of all time usually have one match in particular which they can look back on as the absolute peak of their powers. Pelé's Brazil had the 1970 World Cup final. Guardiola's Barcelona had the aforementioned 2011 Champions League final, and Di Stefano's Real Madrid had this match. Still regarded by many who remember it as the greatest team performance ever. Real Madrid sealed their fifth consecutive European Cup in glorious style as they played out the highest-scoring final in the competition's history with Eintracht Frankfurt. The match has taken on almost mythical status as a record 127,000 people piled into Glasgow's Hampden Park to watch a feast of football, although the contest was initially in doubt after the West German FA had banned any of their clubs from facing a team containing Puskás after the Hungarian had accused the national side of being on drugs for the 1954 World Cup final. A written apology from the Galloping Major paved the way for the classic to be played out, although Puskás exacted his own form of revenge by becoming the first and so far only player to score 4 times in a European Cup final. Indeed, only 3 players have ever scored hat-tricks on that stage, and another one of those came in the same game as Di Stefano helped himself to 3 goals to Madrid's world-class duo tearing Frankfurt apart. It was actually Frankfurt that took the lead, although their opening goal only served to anger Miguel Muñoz's side, who were 3-1 up by half-time and had extended that advantage to 7-1 with 17 minutes still to play. A quick-fire double for Frankfurt, part of a madcap 4-minute spell which saw 4 goals, 2 at either end of the field, saw the scoreline become marginally more respectable. But they were left to lick their wounds after being mauled by one of football's greatest ever teams. 1. AC Milan 3-3 Liverpool win on penalties 2005. Liverpool looked as though they might be on course for a similar drubbing at the halfway stage of the 2005 final, when their dream run under Rafael Benitez threatened to turn into a nightmare. What followed will forever be steeped in history as the miracle of Istanbul, but Liverpool had already upset all the odds to make it to Turkey. A memorable comeback against Olympiacos saw them scrape their way into the knockout stages, where they overcame heavy favourites Juventus and Chelsea to reach their first final since 1985 despite only finishing 5th in the Premier League that season. Milan, by contrast, had lifted the trophy only 2 years previously, were appearing in their 10th final and had won the competition 6 times in total, second to only Real Madrid. The team selections showcased the gulf in class between the two teams. Milan boasted a starting lineup teeming with legendary figures from back to front: Dida, Cafu, Jaap Stam, Alessandro Nesta, Paolo Maldini, Gennaro Gattuso, Andrea Pirlo, Clarence Seedorf, Kaká, Andriy Shevchenko, Hernan Crespo. Liverpool, meanwhile, had the likes of Jimmy Traoré and Milan Barros in their starting 11. Sure enough, it looked like being an embarrassing evening on the grandest stage when Milan took the lead through talismanic captain Maldini after only 47 seconds, and 2 Crespo strikes towards the end of the first half. The second, a sumptuous chip after Kaká's scything through ball, appeared to end the match as a contest. Legend has it that a strain of Liverpool fans singing "You'll Never Walk Alone" filtered into the dressing room at half-time and inspired the second-half comeback. But just as important was Benitez's decision to bring on Dietmar Hamann, who shackled the influential Kaká and allowed Liverpool's own main man Steven Gerrard more freedom. Gerrard was the man who got the first goal back with a looping header in the 54th minute. And just 2 minutes after that, a low strike from Vladimir Smicer nestled into the bottom corner to well and truly ignite Liverpool's belief. A surging run from Gerrard on the hour mark was then halted by Gattuso in the box to earn the Reds the penalty, which Xabi Alonso initially saw saved before rifling the rebound into the roof of the net to complete one of the most remarkable comebacks in football history. Liverpool's job was by no means done, though, and it needed some heroic defending from a cramp-ridden Jamie Carragher in particular to keep wave after wave of Milan attack at bay until extra time and beyond. Milan's big chance to spare their blushes came with only 3 minutes of extra time remaining when Shevchenko, at the time arguably the world's deadliest striker, saw a header saved by Jerzy Dudek before meeting the follow-up from less than 6 yards out. But somehow Dudek managed to deflect that effort over the bar in a scarcely believable double save which has since been voted as the greatest ever Champions League moment. Dudek was back in the spotlight for the penalty shootout as he channeled his inner Bruce Grobbler with spaghetti legs on the line before saving Shevchenko's decisive spot kick to send the Liverpool players and fans into delirium. It was Liverpool's fifth success in the competition, meaning that they got to keep the trophy, and it is a match which will never be forgotten in the annals of Champions League history. Thanks for your watching. Don't forget to click the subscribed button and hit the bell icon for more.